Hello and welcome to this special edition of EUFOREA TV Late Breaking News. My name is Dr. David Bull. I'm a medical journalist and I'm here with the latest medical headlines from around the world, bringing you bang up to date with the latest global news on COVID-19. Now, COVID-19 has been dominating world headlines for over 7 months. This pandemic is, well, quite unprecedented. At the time of recording this show, there have been over 36 million cases, leading to over 1 million deaths around the world. And here in the UK, we've seen over 530,000 cases with a death toll of nearly 43,000. That is quite unlike anything I've ever seen in my clinical lifetime. Now, as I've been covering this story, our understanding of the disease has changed rapidly. It's long been established that it's caused by a coronavirus or a family of coronaviruses, leading to widely varying symptoms, including fever, persistent cough, shortness of breath, and a loss of taste and smell. Now, initially, testing was all but impossible, but that has improved, as has contact tracing. But treatment, particularly in the early stages, was rudimentary and relied on oxygen therapy and supportive measures. That has also changed, and we'll be talking more of this in just a moment. We've also learned that certain groups are at high risk, including those over 60, those with chronic medical conditions, and the immunosuppressed. But one thing has become abundantly clear, and that is that this virus is no respecter of money or power. Now, in April, the British Prime Minister contracted COVID-19 and ended up in intensive care, having had a brush with death. And now the world has been rocked by the news that the most powerful man on the planet, a man who has consistently downplayed the importance of COVID-19, has also tested positive. President Trump was admitted to Walter Reed National Medical Center, the world's largest military medical center, with significant symptoms of COVID-19. But his treatment is certainly not run-of-the-mill. Now, in just a minute, I'll be speaking to the Vice President of Research, Infectious Diseases and Viral Vector Technologies at Regeneron. In his role, he's leading the company's efforts to develop novel antibodies against COVID-19. He also oversees preclinical research into a diverse portfolio of antipathogen, fully human monoclonal antibodies and novel gene and cell therapies. So, to unravel more of the story and to tell us about the groundbreaking treatment that is being given to President Trump, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Dr. Christos Kyratsous, live from the East Coast of the United States. Trump obviously was admitted with low oxygen saturations. We know he was given oxygen. We also know he was started on dexamethasone. Now, the WHO recommends that is used only in severe or critical COVID. And then remdesivir seems to have been added in, the nucleotide analog prodrug, which inhibits viral RNA. Now, the White House reached out to Regeneron. So tell me, what specific treatment of Regeneron was administered to President Trump?
Over the past few months, we developed a cocktail of 2 very potent monoclonal antibodies. We call this therapy Regeneron Cough II. This is a cocktail of 2 antibodies that are binding on the surface of the virus and are preventing the virus from infecting other cells. It can basically be the substitute of your immune system, when your immune system is not sufficiently potent or you haven't had time to develop an immune system to fight your virus. We have shown that these antibodies can basically substitute for that response and can prevent the virus from infected cells and progressing the infection in your body. That's exactly the 2 antibodies that President Trump's medical team has requested, and we provided for his treatment.
I mean, that's truly extraordinary. So you've got these 2 monoclonal antibodies. How exactly do you administer it?
It's an intravenous infusion. So it's 8 grams of protein that we are administering via an intravenous infusion.
Okay, so these are neutralizing antibodies, is that correct?
That is correct. And by neutralizing, we mean that these are antibodies that are coating the surface of the virus and are blocking the ability of the virus to attach and get inside susceptible cells. So they are neutralizing, they are inactivating the virus so that it gets cleared by the immune system. That's the definition of neutralization.
I mean, it seems extraordinary. You give just one dose of this. What clinical features do you actually see in patients? I know that obviously this is going through trials at the moment, but what clinical features do you see in patients when you give this single dose?
We are still accumulating data from patients. We are running multiple different clinical trials, ranging from prophylaxis, people that have not been exposed to the virus yet, but at high risk at contracting the virus. So we are giving the antibodies to prevent the virus from initiating an infection, to people like President Trump that have been diagnosed positive, are not hospitalized yet, and we are trying to prevent the disease from getting more severe. And we also have clinical trials in a hospitalized setting, people that are already in the hospital, have severe symptoms of COVID-19 disease, and we are trying to prevent progression of the disease there. What we have announced so far is data from this intermediate group, the people that are positive for COVID-19 and they are non-hospitalized. And what we have seen in that population is that, especially in patients that have not mounted an immune response yet, or the viral load is very, very high, we see that the administration of the antibodies leads to a pronounced drop of the viral load. We can see an about 99% drop of the virus within the first week after administration of the antibodies. And we can also see that these patients, when they are administered our drug, their symptoms get better much faster. Typically, the patients that end up doing better, they require about a couple of weeks for their symptoms to go away. After administration of the drug, we are basically cutting this time in half, and people get better in about a week.
I mean, that's really, really extraordinary. So obviously you say it's in clinical trials. Is that across the world, or is that just in the United States?
The majority of our clinical trials right now are in the United States, but we are slowly expanding our network of clinical trials in the rest of the world.
Okay, so given that it's an investigational therapy and currently in clinical trials, I know there is a mechanism in the States how it was allowed to be prescribed to the president. Is it correct that it was given under a compassionate use program?
That is correct, yes. It was given under the compassionate use program, that's correct.
And so how exactly does that work? Would the president's physicians would have known of it and come to you and said, is it possible to have it? Is that roughly how it works?
Pretty much. So the physician needs to prescribe the drug, and they get in contact with the company. And then there is basically a discussion between the company, the physician, and the FDA. And all of these parties try to weigh the benefits versus the potential risk of administering the drug.
Okay. So obviously, given the fact that you're still in clinical trials and obviously you're collating that data, is it fair, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the fact that the president's physicians asked for this cocktail, is it fair to say that his condition was pretty serious, it was worse than reported, or was it really because he is the most important man in the world?
It's very hard to know. We obviously don't have any data of the exact details of his medical condition. What we know is that there was a request for the antibodies. I think that's a question for their physicians.
Yeah, I'm sure. And a question for the White House as well. So just in terms of where you are in the clinical trial, just give me a sense of the timeline and where your endpoints are.
Right. So as I told you before, we just got data from this middle group of patients, the non-hospitalized patients. We are also running trials in the prophylaxis setting and also the hospitalized setting. We are continuously enrolling patients in all these trials. We have enrolled more than 2,000 patients so far. The first data that we announced was from the first cohort of 275 patients. And over the next few weeks and months, we're going to be announcing more data from both, the non-hospitalized trial, but also from the other trials as well. So we hope that over the next few months, we will know exactly how the drug works and what is the efficacy of the drug in all these different populations. And so you understand that the only way to know if a drug works or not and understand exactly how it can be used in the real world is by conducting this very rigorous testing in the clinical trials. And that's exactly what we are seeking to do. We are enrolling as many patients as we can, as fast as we can, so we get more information about how the drug works and which are the patients that can benefit from it.
And just out of interest, what's its safety profile so far?
So far, the drug has been safe. So we haven't seen any severe adverse events in the population. Again, it's a fairly small data set so far, but the data so far is very encouraging. And that's exactly what I was saying before, that you have to weigh the risk versus the potential benefit. again, we need to test the drug in larger populations to better understand the safety profile of the drug.
Here in the United Kingdom, the Telegraph newspaper is reporting it's being rolled out to 40 hospitals in the UK. I mean, is that something that you're aware of? I know, obviously, you are a part of these clinical trials across the globe. Are you aware of that particular piece of news?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a very close collaboration with the Recovery Trial, the network of Recovery Network trials in the UK, organized by the NHS. And we are part of the hospitalized trial there in the UK. So hopefully over the next few months, we should be able to accumulate data in the hospitalized setting and in the UK as well.
I mean, I have to say it's very exciting indeed. And for you as a scientist, I mean, this must be quite extraordinary because it's thrust you center stage. Just on a personal note, how are you feeling?
Well, it's, everything's a bit overwhelming. Everything is happening very fast, of course. Yeah. We are working, both myself and the whole team here is working as hard as we can to both, get the drug. We were working for many months to get the drug into the clinic and start the clinical testing as quickly as possible. And now the entire team is working very hard to accumulate data from the clinic so that we understand how well these drugs are working, and hopefully we can see the expected, what do we expect to see, hopefully the efficacy in the clinic. There's a huge sense of responsibility, of course. There's a huge unmet medical need out there. There are many hundreds of thousands of patients that at any given day they can benefit from this drug. So this is exactly why we feel that we need to work as hard as we can, as quickly as possible, to learn as much as we can about the drug and make it available for the ones that really need it.
Well, I mean, I think it's quite extraordinary. And the fact that President Trump has discharged himself, or at least has been discharged, I think, is extraordinary itself. And I know you can't comment on that. But Christos, thank you so much. I really am so grateful for such an insightful interview. And I really do wish you a great deal of success in the trials. And I hope they go extremely well.
You're very welcome. Nice talking to you.
You can find more information and register for the meetings at the EUFOREA.eu website, where you can also sign up to receive the latest news via email. You can also follow us on Twitter. The address for that is @EUFOREA. But that is it for the moment. See you soon, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.